When I was younger, I went through some really tough times at school and other different places when I was away from my home. And my mum came up with this amazing thing that I now think is time to pass on to all of you. Keeping in mind that I was a child, my mum would take my hands, she would give them a kiss, she'll put them together like this, and then she would say, anytime you need love, you just put them on your cheeks. Isn't that beautiful? Welcome or welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads! Let's go! Yes, hello, and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. I'm getting a bit emotional here, remembering those moments, but yeah, that's what she would do, and, I did. There were definitely times where I would do this, and, feel the love coming through, and I was so lucky. Like, this is the weekly vlog, by the way. Hello and welcome. But if you know me, then you know by now I go on tangents. So here's a very quick one for you, and it's inspiring. So I hope it uplifts your day. So we are growing up at home. I have mentioned before in another video that I've done in the past that we were not the richest financially. I was raised by a single mother. I just so happen to now live with my father, which is great because I'm getting to know my dad more now. Because things happen and, parents can go different ways, and I make no secret of the fact that my mother and father divorced when I was 7, so I was very young. My sister was 4, so yeah, we were quite young. Anyway, so predominantly being raised by a single mother, I have so much respect for single parents out there, be they men or women. And my mother always used to say to us, we may not be rich financially, but we are very rich in love. And we certainly were. And oh my gosh, I call my mum every day except not on Saturdays. On Saturdays, we have our own day, and then we talk on Sunday, and I'm gonna tell her about that tomorrow, like how I still think about the kisses she gave me. Anyway, hello and welcome to this very interesting start to this week's weekly vlog. Oh my goodness. Welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. I am, of course, Mr. Francy, and as per usual, with my weekly vlogs, in case you haven't joined me, here's the rundown. We start off with a personal life update, then I move into my reading update, then I move into a watching update. But I am going to do things differently today. I am going to start with a reading update because there's just so much to discuss, and I'd rather focus the majority of my time with that. And then with the remaining time, we can do a personal life update. And then if there is more remaining time, we'll focus on watching. So allow me to quickly pause while I grab the books, and then we can do some chatting. So in the spirit of talking about my mother, let's bring up the first book we're going to discuss, Darkly by Marisha Pessl. And when we last left off, I was talking about how much I was absolutely loving this book. Now, in the spirit of my beautiful mother, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I'm going to try and keep this very brief and just say that if I were to divide this book into 3 acts, Act 1, I absolutely loved, and that's what you saw me talking about last time. Acts 2 and 3 fell by the wayside for me. Waistline, I don't know. What is the correct word? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, so in this book we follow Dia. Dia is obsessed with a woman by the name of something... Oh my goodness, I really don't remember her name. Louisiana Vader. There we go. If you all don't know me, hello and welcome. My name's Mr. Francy. I forget character names. Anyway, I remember stories. I don't remember character names. But anyway, Dia, is obsessed with this lady by the name of Louisiana Vader, who invented these really... interesting board games that really sound like full-on RPG games, if that makes sense. RPG board games, but they sound really full-on and amazing. One example that we're given is, you need to play a certain game between the hours of 11 p.m. and 1 p.m. You need to go outside. It comes with an accompanying audio book, so you really feel transported to where you're going. And yeah, her gaming manuals, the shortest one that Vader ever had was 50 pages long. The longest one was 200 pages long. The setup in Act 1 for the rest of the book was so extremely compelling. This book was well on the way to receiving 5 stars. Then I got on to Act 2, when things really started. So basically the premise of this book is that, yeah, we followed this girl, Dia. She loves this woman, Louisiana Veda, and really appreciates what she's done with all of these board games, which she created under the company name of Darkly. Unfortunately, Louisiana has died prior to the book beginning, but because of this, it creates an opportunity for Dia because Darkly are looking to run an internship to potentially hire some people to work for the company, and obviously this would be perfect for Dia. To cut a very long story incredibly short, Dia ends up somehow her application is submitted. She didn't submit it, but it's submitted anyway, and she ends up getting into the internship. I loved everything leading up to the internship. Once we got into the internship, I was very excited to see what was going to happen moving forward, and it just did not work for me. Now, in saying that, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because I read this as a buddy read with my dear friend Jessica from the booktube channel Lady Lovestead Reads. Check out her channel, she's amazing. And I'm laughing because I keep saying that in every video because Jessica just keeps coming up. I mean, she's a great friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, and that's why she keeps coming up. But anyway, check out her channel. She is absolutely amazing. What was I saying? Yes, so in Act 2, we get to the internship, and yeah, yeah, I don't know. I felt like I was very much out of the loop reading this book, and I don't like that. I don't like when authors leave it to the reader to determine things, and I felt that way as I was reading Act 2 moving forward. Not everyone else felt that way, but I did. So, you know, for me, I walk this very fine line. I walk the fine line on Goodreads, and I walk it on this channel as well, between being 100% transparent, but at the same time not wanting to badmouth anything. So all I'll do is say this. Whenever I give a negative review, obviously I don't want to give a negative review because this is a very positive channel. And obviously I don't want to put an author down. And also I am not here saying don't pick up a book that I give a negative review to because, hey, with me explaining why I don't like a certain book, you may like that thing I don't like. And so therefore, my negative review may actually in turn encourage you to pick up the book. And if it does, that's fantastic. So yeah, it's tough for me to negatively review anything, but my number one pillar here on this channel is 100% transparency and being completely honest. And so in that vein, and I know a lot of you trust me when it comes to my recommendations, I need to be honest. And just one moment. And yeah, with this book, it just really, you know, it let me down. I felt like, as I say, I was running, running big time to try and keep up with the characters. I didn't know what was going on half the time. I mean, yes, I knew that we were in a room. Yes, I knew we were trying to find something. No, I don't remember why we were in that room. And things like that. The experience at the internship, I cannot say because it would be a spoiler. So all I'll say is this, it was completely different to what I thought it was going to be. And I think that did let me down. I shouldn't assume things. I should never assume things. I go into my books blind, and then when something comes up in a book and it makes me think in a certain way, or when I think a certain, because they don't make me do anything, when something comes up in a book and I think because of that thing that something is going to happen and that thing doesn't happen, of course that's going to let me down, but that's my own fault because I made the assumption. And, but yeah, compared to what I thought it was going to be, it was a letdown for me. In saying that, I'm not in any way, shape or form saying anything against Jessica. I love my buddy reads with Jessica, and I've reached out to her and she's totally fine with me having my opinion, and I really appreciate that. Thank you, Jessica, because not everyone is that way. So, you know, you have to celebrate when you're doing a buddy read with someone who doesn't mind at all that you are being transparent and you are saying you didn't like something that someone else set up as a buddy read. And so, yeah, again, I need to reiterate, I'm not saying Jessica is not a good buddy reader, because she absolutely is. It's just that this particular book was just one I didn't like. And Jessica and I, in fact, speaking of buddy reads, we are hosting a wonderful hybrided production called the Sparklestead. There we go. Which is a combination of the words Lovestead and Sparkle Cafe. So her Discord as well as her channel are referred to as her booktube channel and Discord are called The Lovestead, and my Discord server is called The Sparkle Cafe. So we're doing a Sparklestead production. Sparklestead production. I just love the word. It's so cool. Yeah, we're doing a Sparklestead buddy read of The Emergency Dessert Squad by Laura Bradford, and it's coming up later on in the year. So I'll talk about that more as we get closer to the day. But if you check out Jessica's latest video on her channel, she does mention it over there. So feel free to check that out. But yeah, really excited about that. But unfortunately, this book just wasn't for me. The reveal was good. I have to give Marisha Pessel prompts for the reveal, because the reveal was good. But unfortunately, by the time I got to that reveal, I was very much over the book. And so, as much as I could say, oh, this reveal bumps this rating up for me, but, you know, I need to be in a good place for the reveal, and I just wasn't. And it wasn't owing to external factors. It was all owing to the book itself. I was just not in a good place with the book, and yeah, then the reveal happened. It was like, oh, okay, this would have been great had it been a much better lead up to the reveal in my mind. But anyway, I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to leave it there. If you want to ask me for clarification or questions, please do feel free to. You can message me on the Discord over there. I'm more than happy to discuss whatever to help you to determine if this is the right book for you. It just, yeah, was a book that let me down. So I ended up ultimately giving this book 2 stars, which stopped my run of 5-star reads. But again, I highly recommend buddy reading with Jessica from the Lady Lovestead Reads channel and the Lovestead Discord server, because she is wonderful to buddy read with. Just the book let me down. So, the next book that I picked up took me on a lovely ride on my metaphorical train to Cozy Mystery Station. Woo! I can't believe that I started my year with 2 fantasies and a mystery before finally getting to a cozy, but I finally got there and was so happy I did. So I actually have to say, with Darkly, maybe part of the reason I was let down was because I hadn't read a cozy beforehand, and had I, it may have made a big difference for me. So I will admit that. But anyway, my first cozy of the year was Billionaire Blend, my BB book. Woo! So I was mentioning with my first 2 books that I read, which were fantasies of 2025, my first 2 books, I can't talk today, that the first book I read was book 1 in an AA series, which is called the Arcane Ascension series. The second book that I read featured a school called Aurora Academy, another AA, and I was wondering when I was going to read my BB book in February. No, I read it in January. It's Billionaire Blend. And where's my CC? I mean, I really need to watch The Nanny. I really do. CC Babcock. But yeah, where's my CC book? We'll see. Has Lauren Lane written a memoir? Sherry's a memoir person. Sherry! Has Lauren Lane from The Nanny written a memoir? Let me know, and if so, I should try and chuck it on to my February TBR. So I can read a CC book. Anyway, Billionaire Blend, I believe, is the 13th book. I'll just double check. Yes, it is. It is the 13th book in the Coffee House Mystery Series by Cleo Coyle. The basic setup for this series as a whole is that we follow our protagonist, whose name is Claire Cosi, who runs a cafe that is passed down to her and her former husband, Matteo, by his mother, who is simply referred to as Madame in this series. And yeah, it's called The Village Blend. They run it. He goes and finds the beans all around the world, the coffee beans, and she runs the cafe with her lovely employees, which are very diverse, and I love all of them. In this particular book, we have a billionaire that comes into the cafe and who is trying to keep all of the baristas on their toes because he's asking them a whole bunch of questions. about, do you know this? Do you know that? Oh, you call yourself a barista. Well, what about this? And I mean, here I am. I've worked at a cafe. Yes, I have worked at one cafe franchise. However, one cafe that has many franchises, I should say. And I have worked at multiple of those different franchise stores, because there was one time where the store I worked at didn't have enough shifts for me, but they were more than happy for me to bounce around. And I was working in the city in Melbourne, and in the city, I think they had like 5 or 6 different, believe it or not, there were like 5 or 6 different cafes of this cafe company. By the way, if you live in Australia, you may know of the cafe. I don't even know if they're still around, so I'll just say the name. I worked at a place called Hudson's Coffee, and yeah, I had a blast working at Hudson's because my employer was very passionate about coffee and very passionate about customer service and things like that, and I just learnt so much from her, not only about customer service, but as I say, about coffee. And I grew to have a massive passion for coffee. So yeah, reading this series is fantastic because Cleo Coyle teaches us so much about coffee all the time. But this guy coming into the cafe and he's all right, then let me, test you, barista. Do you know this? Do you know that? Do you know that? I mean, I don't know if I would have done like one of the employees did, which was run off to the bathroom crying. I mean, the poor dear, he was interrogating the heck out of her. But, and that's not a spoiler because it comes up in like the first chapter. But, anyway, but I was sitting there going, I don't know this, I don't know that. Oh, how much do I not know? And then realized, oh yeah, the average person who's worked in a cafe wouldn't know this because he's asking specialized questions. However, he met his match in Claire, because Claire comes over, introduces herself very kindly and says, by the way, sir, the answer to your question is this. And he goes, oh, well, that's lovely. What about this? He goes, well, it's this. Okay, well, I guess you know that. Then what about this? Well, the answer to that is this. And she had an answer for everything, which was so wonderful. Unfortunately, a moment later, it sounds like a bomb has gone off. And one of the windows in the store smashes, and some shards end up in Claire's back, and there is injuries that the billionaire also ends up sustaining. And so the mystery is wrapped up in what the heck is going on and why did this bomb go off. In a prelude to the first chapter, we follow our A. Now, the reason I say A is because I used to be the biggest fan of Pretty Little Liars, still am, even though the show is over. And in Pretty Little Liars, we follow an unknown antagonist by the name of A. In this series, we don't necessarily follow an unknown antagonist, but every prologue opens up from the antagonist's perspective. And I love that because I haven't seen that in any other cozy, but it is so great. It is like we have our A, because in PLL the unknown antagonist was A. We have our A person who is doing whatever they're doing. We don't know if it's a man or a woman. We definitely don't know their name, but we see that they have a plot to do something, and someone ends up getting killed. So this person who ends up being killed, it is very quickly ascertained, so it's not a spoiler, that the bomb that went off as well as the person who was murdered is linked. And so Claire wants to find out what the heck is going on here. This was a very good ride. I really enjoyed the mystery side a lot more than I expected to. For those who don't know, I go into my cozies for the cozy side, not for the mystery side. So the fact that I came out of this really enjoying the mystery says a lot. I really just absolutely loved it. Also, if you want the opportunity to see how the other half lives, because he is a billionaire and Claire hangs around him every so often, we get to see things that we wouldn't normally necessarily see. So I really appreciated that as well. But there were a couple of cons, and my first con was the cozy side when it comes to coffee facts was nowhere near as focused as it usually is. Take, for example, book 6 in this series, which is called French Pressed. The coffee side focuses on pairings, which I absolutely love. Food items that you compare with coffee, and it is discussed at length many different times throughout that book. In this particular book, because it is revolving around the billionaire and his questions, it is a whole lot of different things that we get a little bit of information about. And I understand that there is that saying out there, it is better to know a little about a lot than a lot about a little. But in the case of this series, it just felt very jarring for me to get like, oh, boom, here's the thing, boom, here's the thing, boom, here's the thing. And it's all different things about different types of coffees. It put me through a tailspin, to be completely honest. Secondly, Madame, who is my favorite character, and I've had this complaint all the way through the series, but I will keep reading. Madame features in a total, and I'm being generous here, a total of 3 chapters. Now, I am not saying when Madame is alluded to, because she's alluded to in more chapters, where Claire will say, I remember that Madame told me this and this and this. And I'm like, well, that's great. Where is Madame? Why can't Madame just tell you that herself in the book? And let's just see it happen. So she was there for 3 chapters, and it was basically the halfway mark. This is the least amount of Madame I've ever seen, and it really annoys me. I really hope that Claire Cosey picks things up as she continues to move forward and we get a lot more Madame. If you have read book 14 onwards in this series, please message me either in the comments below or on the Discord server and let me know if we get more Madame, or if it seems like Madame is being phased out, because I love Madame so much. I love my elderly female characters in my cozies, and Madame is the only one that we have. And so, you know, the fact that we get like 3 chapters and that's it really doesn't work for me, considering that Madame is always up for the mystery. She wants to try and solve everything. In the earlier books, she would be there for at least half the book, if not more. And now 3 chapters? I mean, what's going on? Seriously, Miss Cleo Coyle, what's happening here? Anyway, so I gave the book 4 stars because we need more Madame, and because the cozy side pertaining to the passion of Cleo Coyle's coffee didn't seem as focused as it should have been, in my opinion. And so 4 stars from me. It was still a fantastic book, and I will continue on, but I need more Madame. Can we start a whole trend of hashtag we need more Madame? Like, seriously, we need more Madame. 4 stars. So the next cozy that I picked up, let alone the next book that I picked up, was this one, Grilled for Murder by Maddie Day. This is book number 2 in the Country Store Mystery Series, and I'm doing a buddy read of this series in its entirety over on my Discord server. So if you'd like to join us, link to that is in a pinned comment below as well as in the description. And yeah, I love this series. I don't know if everyone does, but I do. And let me tell you why. This series is not your standard cozy mystery series. This series to me is an extremely cozy mystery series. And I if that didn't emphasize it enough, I don't know what will, but it is extremely cozy, more than your average extremely cozy book. Is this one. It's even more than the average extreme cozy. And so I think that some people may find this series to be boring and not to their taste, but to me, I love it. I think it's a wonderful refresher, especially given that I do read, like with Coffee House, which is a grittier cozy mystery series, let alone a standard or an extremely cozy series. Coming off from Billionaire Blend, going into this one, and then my next book is a standard cozy mystery. Yeah, it's just perfect for me. So we follow a woman by the name of Robbie. The next fact I'm going to tell you is heavily contested, because I listened to this book on audiobook, and let me tell you, the narrator of this series will say something, and I'm not going to give you an example from the book, but will say something along the lines of, I then walked to the road and crossed the road, and the man was there. And I'm going, oh, wonderful, she's a senior citizen. And then a quote came up in this book, which is not a spoiler because it's literally a side comment that's being made to nothing in particular, where this narrator is saying, oh, my dear, you're making me feel old, and I'm only 27. And like, well, you don't sound 27 to me. You sound like a grandma. And I prefer that. I prefer her to be a grandma. So, okay, canonically, Robbie, our protagonist, is 27, but to my mind, she's a grandma, and I love her as a grandma. Okay? And that's just how it is. And she's, okay, when I say grandma, she doesn't have kids. So I'm just saying she's elderly when I say she's a grandma. She's a grandma, and I just love her as a grandma. I don't love her as a 27-year-old. She doesn't act like a 27-year-old at all. And I just mean at all. If Robbie is in fact 27, she acts like someone who is 60. So, and that's fine. Everyone is different. No one's a monolith. And yes, I'm only going based off a stereotype of what a 27-year-old would do. But Robbie, to me, acts like a stereotypical 60, 70 something year old person would. And I love her for it. So in my mind, she's a grandma and ain't no one telling me any different. I'm sorry, Maddie Day. But maybe, maybe you should have picked an audio narrator that, didn't sound like an old woman. I mean, I like it though. I prefer that she's a grandma. So yay, I applaud whoever assigned this woman the role of being the narrator. As much as that may sound horrible to you, that we're getting an older person that is trying to portray a younger person in the audiobook, that may be a turn off for you. For me, it works. I love it. So to me, Robbie is elderly and I love her, and ain't no one telling me she's 27 and a young thing. Okay, now that we know that, our lovely senior Robbie owns a country store, which I had to look up what that means because it means something different here in Australia. But a country store in America is basically a store that sells all these different types of things. And in this particular case, Robbie's country store is also a diner. So she serves food, but she also has other items around the store that are hanging up or just sitting around the store of all different subject matters, and people can purchase them. So that's what makes it a country store. And this particular one, at the beginning, the book opens up with Robbie hosting a welcome home party for a lovely woman by the name of Erica, who, if you're not a man and you're not attracted to her, because the women could be, hey, I mean, I'm gay myself, so there could be women in here that were attracted to her, but I don't know if there are. But if you're not a man or you're not attracted to Erica, then you really don't like her because she's not the nicest person in the world. Anyway, Robbie did her job. She, as the elderly senior, hosted this welcome home party, and then goes to bed in her apartment, which is upstairs from the store. Very convenient. I love that. I especially love it in cozies, and I need a job like that, where I can work in a store and then go upstairs and go to bed. It's the same in the coffee house. She has the cafe down below and the apartment upstairs, but the next morning, when our lovely senior citizen Robbie comes downstairs, she sees Erica, unfortunately, is dead, and we've got to try and work out what the heck is going on here. Fortunately, Robbie loves puzzles, so can she solve this one? Let's hope she does, because her dear friend Paul, I think, did I say it? No, Phil. Glad I wrote it down. Her dear friend Phil is the number one suspect, and she knows that it definitely wasn't him, so got to find out what's going on here. I absolutely loved it. Aside from my whole thing of, to me, she's an elderly person and 27, when I heard that, I was like, wait, what? I don't remember the last time I paused an audiobook going, hang on, I got to hear that again. And so I went back and I'm listening to it, and go, you're making me sound old and I'm 27. But you're not 27. Anyway, aside from that, I really enjoyed it. I was really intrigued by the mystery. I was totally barking up the wrong tree. I had suspects for so many good reasons. Maddie Day does a great job with red herrings. And ultimately, all in all, I gave the book 4 stars. I think that it was just a fantastic read, and I cannot wait to get on to the next one. So if you're looking for something extremely cozy, and I mean high extreme cozy, pick up this series. You will not be disappointed. And as I say, we're hosting a read-along of it over on the Sparkle Cafe. Again, link to the description in a pinned comment and link to the Discord, not the description, in a pinned comment and in the description below. The next book I'm going to pick up will be No Palm, No Foul by Linda Riley. Second book in the Grilled Cheese Mystery Series, and I haven't started it yet. See, I told you all I needed a lot of time to to talk of books. So now let's quickly rush through personal update and watching update. So first of all, my personal update is that my dear Orma is now in a nursing home. For those of you who don't know, I love my Orma, and also for those of you who don't know, Orma is the Dutch word. My mother is Dutch and her side of the family is Dutch, the Dutch word for grandma, and I have a very, very, very soft place in my heart for my dear Orma. Unfortunately, lately she has been suffering from a great many ailments, and one of them is dementia, and it has been very tough to deal with, but unfortunately there's nothing else we can do. She has to go into a home, and it's just the way that it is. My number one fear for this is that on a bad day, she only speaks Dutch, and I don't know if anyone in the home does, so that is a legitimate concern that I do have. But don't worry, I'm going to be keeping tabs on my Orma, and I'm going to be visiting her a lot, so I'm going to make sure that everything is okay with her. So there's your very quick update there. Alright, as far as watching, I haven't seen any more Stranger Things. I do plan to. I'm probably going to binge the last 4, 5, however many I have left, towards the end of the month. So it will happen. I just haven't watched any more, and that's because I've been caught up on 2 other shows. First up, Downton Abbey. I don't know where I'm up to, but it's very early on in season 2, and I am very much enjoying it. But then my mother, Mama Francy, yep, the one I told you about earlier on, got me on to a show that I cannot stop watching. Like, everything else just kind of fell by the wayside. I cannot stop watching this show. It is called Sweet Magnolias. Oh my gosh, if you've seen this show and want to talk about it with me, please do. To me, it feels like a modern day Gilmore Girls in so many ways. No, we don't follow a mother and daughter in their relationship. We follow a relationship between 3 girlfriends who will catch up at the end of every episode and have a margarita and chat about what's going on in their lives. One of the women is a lawyer, another one I think was a project manager or something like that, and the other one is a cook. The reason that I wanted to give the show a go is because the cook is played by Brooke Elliott, who was Jane in my favorite show of all time, or one of them anyway, Drop Dead Diva. I love Brooke Elliott as an actor, as a singer. She is phenomenal as well, and so I wanted to see her in something different. And isn't that funny how certain actors can pull you into a show? A great example I'll give you is that I always loved the OG show Charmed, and Holly Marie Combs was my favorite actress and character in that show. Then she went on to a show called Pretty Little Liars. I went to watch that show because Holly was in it and became obsessed with Pretty Little Liars, and now I love Drop Dead Diva. Brooke Elliott is in Sweet Magnolias, and I'm watching Sweet Magnolias, and I'm obsessed with this show and can't get enough. It is so good for so many reasons. We've run out of time, so if you want to discuss it further with me, please do in the comments below, and you know I'll respond to the comment, or you can over on the Discord or whatever, but I am watching this all the time. I cannot get enough. It is so good. These 3 women are called the Sweet Magnolias, I guess because they grew up together and were viewed by this elderly woman who's now elderly as the 3 sweet kids who hung out, so she called them the Sweet Magnolias, and they have now purchased her home because she's no longer in her home with her blessing, and they are going to run a women's spa. So where I'm at, they have just opened the spa for a viewing show, and I think moving forward we're now going to see the spa being run. So I think I'm about 3 or 4 episodes in. It is fantastic. I highly recommend it. If you loved Gilmore Girls and you want something cozy, watch this. There are some dramatic moments in the show because, as Amy Sherman Palladino herself has said in the past, nowadays you can't have a show exactly like Gilmore Girls because it's just not going to work for the network. So there needs to be a dramatic moment here or there. But let me tell you, they are very, very, very few and far between. Otherwise, it is extremely cozy. It is small town setting. It is everything you would want in a cozy show. All right, that's where I'm going to leave it. We've run out of time because I spent way too long on the books, but hey, this is a booktube channel, so that's okay. Letting you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Hold out your hands, I'll give you a kiss. Mwah, mwah. Put them against your cheeks. And I will see you in the next one. Letting you go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please be kind, love one another, and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone!